Hi everyone, this is Faizal
And this Adi.
and welcome to our podcast, A&F Podcast, where we talk about anything arts and entertainment.
Yes, and sometimes politics.
For this episode, where I am looking at interviewing Adi about his script, Live.
Yes, it's titled Live, as in Live. I know a lot of times people when they see the word live, Live, they will pronounce it as live, but actually what I intended for the script is for it to be called live because of like this duality and the play of word between Live and Leave.
So anyway, the origins of Live is that Adi wrote it during a playwright workshop, which is the SRT's, the Young Company Writers Group. So, moving to the first question, right, Adi? So, how did this story come about and what was the inspiration?
Actually, I've always been intrigued with this whole idea of like life and death and like what happens in the life after death because I subscribe to the religion whereby we believe that death is not the end of things and that the life after death is the one that is eternal. So this script actually explores that idea of like life after death, and like how it starts is it was in 2017, and I was in a very dark place in my life, and I was just not feeling myself. Like I know I wasn't happy, and I needed to distract myself from like a lot of things. So I did a lot of things. I signed up for workshops. At the same time, I was trying to complete my degree. At the same time, I was going after a specialist diploma course. At the same time, I was also running my own company. And then I started this baking venture.
The overachiever, ladies and gentlemen.
No, actually, it's more of like for me to keep myself busy so I wouldn't think about my problem and get depressed over it. So obviously with so many things running in my life, I just don't have the time and the capacity to actually plan out like how I want to write the script. And it just happened quite magically or quite miraculously. I remember on that day, you have to prepare the script, right, for the young company actors to actually come together and read through the script. So on that day where they're supposed to come together and read the script, I still did not have a script. I remember
But you had the idea.
I didn't even have an idea. I know I wanted to write about death involving a child, but I don't know how to go about it yet. I remember the read was supposed to be at 7:30. At 12 p.m., I actually dragged myself down to school, which is Unisim at that point of time. Then I sat down on one of the tables, and I remember feeling very tired. So when I switched on my laptop, I was literally head banging in front of the laptop, and I remember just trying to push my fingers to type something out. I don't know what happened because I know I was like in between conscious, subconscious, but I know I didn't consciously plan on what to write. What I knew was at the end of the 3 hours, I have typed out like 12 pages of script. And then by that time, it was already time for me to pack up to print out the script so that I can leave and make my way down to the venue and give the script to the actors for them to do the script read. And even then, when I was printing it out, I didn't know what I just wrote. When I was in the cab, I was too tired to even read through. I fell asleep in the cab to the point that the cab driver actually had to wake me up once I arrived at the destination.
Maybe you had like a out of body experience when you wrote it,
Probably.
Like, when you wrote it, because your brain works faster than how you type. So maybe this out of body experience allowed you to miraculously, your brain and your fingers work concurrently very quickly.
Could be.
Yeah.
It's possible. So at that point of time, I only knew what I wrote about after I heard the actors read out the script. So I was like, oh my god, I wrote that. After the dramatized reading, like they were saying, like the script has a good plot, a good premise, and I should develop it. I wanted to work on something, but because I was still in a very dark place in my life, and I didn't manage to actually do anything with the script. Then comes 2018, and I got to know about this Short and Sweet Festival.
Yes. So, Short and Sweet was the other two festival that you send the script to without any expectation.
So when you submit for Short and Sweet Malaysia, they have two different Short and Sweets there. So they have like Short and Sweet Kuala Lumpur and Short and Sweet Penang. And
They are both separate entity, right?
Yeah, they are separate entity judged by different committee members.
And I remembered that when you submitted this, you had no expectation, and like it took them very long to get back to you about whether your script got selected, because we were already at that verge of like, maybe they're just not picking your scripts anymore, and we were like, that's it. But actually, the script got picked up.
Yeah, and when I received the email, I was quite surprised. So, Short and Sweet KL actually got back to me first, and they say that we have shortlisted your script as the top 10 script that will be staged. And then they were asking me like, do you want to direct your own play? And at that point of time, I know I don't have the capacity to actually go up to Malaysia, KL, and then coming back to Singapore to conduct classes, because at that point of time I was packed during weekdays. I was teaching like almost every day in schools, and the only time I will be able to travel back to KL will be like during the weekends to direct the play. So I thought that kind of like scheduling wouldn't work. So I got back to the organizer and I told them that maybe you can get another director who is part of the festival to direct the play on my behalf. And they said, okay, sure, we can do that.
They also asked whether you can get your own actors, right?
Yeah, but I decided maybe it's best for the Malaysian actors to actually take the script and a Malaysian director to take the script and interpret it and stage it in their own way or their own style.
So I would like to ask, like, how is it like seeing your show being interpreted by the different directors and actors in both Short and Sweet, KL and Penang?
Oh yes, it was very interesting because like when it was staged in KL, the director, who's a very young director, told me actually before I even watched the staging, he told me that okay, I'm going to make the mother character and the angel of death to be an invisible character. That means it will be represented by a voice-over, but the actors wouldn't really appear on stage. So I thought that was like interesting, and I wouldn't have imagined it or directed it that way. So I kind of like learned from that director. And then the Penang one, it was also directed in a very different way from what I would have imagined it. And I took something in from like the director who actually directed the play in Penang. So from that experience, I kind of see like 3 different stagings directed by 3 different people. I was like, oh wow, it could have gone in so many directions. And I just thought it would be interesting to see if I would direct it any different from any of these directors. And that's when we had the 4th staging, which is
the Lit Festival at LaSalle.
Yes, the Lit Festival at LaSalle. The format is like a competition, and somehow we were picked by the judges to win the 3rd prize. And I thought that was interesting because it was the first time that I actually directed my own play for this particular script, Live. And then, here's the thing. So, after the whole competition, I got to know that one of the judge is actually this director that I've always looked up to, who I always idolized.
I know who that judge is.
Yes.
Will you be revealing his name then?
I don't know if I should, because like I have a thing about like coattailing and like riding on other people's name and
Well,
name
I
dropping.
guess we
right?
can just mention that he's quite a prolific playwright and director in Singapore.
Yeah, because like every time people ask me like what do you aspire to be, and I will always mention his name because I think he is a great director, a great playwright, and above all, he is a great educator with really like a strong interest to really educate
Passion.
the young minds. Yeah,
Very
a
strong
passion to actually educate the young minds and like developing them into like artists also. Yeah, so I've always idolized him, and like I've been trained by him before in like some programs. So he approached me and he said that it was refreshing to see that because I trained under him to be an actor, but then like I am now slowly
You're being
dabbling.
judged for your directing and writing capability.
Yeah, so he said that it's a good thing that I dabbled into writing, and he said he would love to see future work. So I'm like, yes.
So talking about, bringing bringing your script to places, right? So right now for this year you're bringing Leaf to another platform, to another
Yes.
festival, and now Leaf is going to be part of Pathey Nimidam, which is a festival of short plays in Tamil, and is part of Kalaa Utsavam, which is the Indian Festival of Arts presented by Esplanade. So my question for you would be that, how was it for you directing the show for Pathey Nimidam? Knowing that the script has been translated to Tamil, and then like, we don't understand Tamil. Like, how did you go about doing it?
Okay, actually, right, the challenge is not the language because this is not the first time that I collaborated with the creative director, Hemang Yadav. He actually got me in to do Pathey Nimidam in 2017. And in 2017, I presented this play called Suso, which is an English play about a Malay belief and Malay tradition. And
Which we staged together.
yeah, that we staged under A.D.I Concept, and then after that we translate it into Tamil, and then this time around it is an English play exploring the whole idea of life after death. And it's not just about the language. We need to also like bear in mind the context of tradition and culture, because like what we mentioned just now, like in Malay, if you were to like translate live in Malay, I don't know how I'm going to like even stage it.
Because people would consider, when we talk about the supernatural, we talk about life after death in Islam, like it's going to be blasphemous because we don't talk about that in a very open manner, and like it's not even something up for discussion. It's just that when it's just that, and like you don't make anything of it more than that.
Yeah, and like the play has this character called Angel of Death, which is like in Islam there is they call it the malaikat, and we are not supposed to even visualize how the malaikat look like or how the Angel of Death is supposed to look like. So I don't know how to translate that onto stage without it being labeled as being blasphemous. So I when I want to stage it in Tamil, I was also quite cautious because I don't know how
Because you're
the
treading
community will
Yeah.
like interpret it.
you're treading on waters that is unfamiliar to you and to me as well, and we don't know the nuances of like the context that we're trying to convey, and it might convey a different message and people might get offended by it.
And I'm very blessed to be working with such bright talented actors who are always very giving in the sense that they are always in every rehearsal sessions. They will always be educating me on like different stuff, and there are always things that I can learn about the culture itself. So it's not just about language, but it's about the culture. So that is more of a challenge for me, to understand the culture and blending my story to gel with the community that is a little bit foreign to me in culture wise. Language wise, I think it wasn't much of a barrier to me. The other challenge comes in the form of like the
I know.
format.
Yes. So this time around, Pathey Nimidam is going to be presented in a digital platform. So it's a digital showcase. Everything is going to be filmed and it's going to be debut on a platform, online platform for everyone to see, right? So
Yes.
so what kind of that is a new challenge for you this time, because previously you get to direct on stage. So how different is it for you now that you have to direct your own show translated to Tamil, and now it's going to be, film? And how do you overcome that? Like, as a director now, you can't direct on stage, but you have to see what kind of frames, what kind of motion you want, and what kind of blocking. Like, what kind? How is it? How was it for you?
Well, it's a new experience, and I've learned a lot from it also lah. Prior to this, I have digitalized like a couple of like 30 minutes show, and I know for a matter of fact that it takes a long time. Like we have like usually it will take about 4 hours or so to just digitalize a 30-minute program. So when we were told that we were only given 2 hours to digitalize like this 10-minute play, we were like, okay, that's definitely not enough time.
It's a challenge. I think people don't realize that, you may be doing a 10-minute play, but that 10-minute takes a lot of effort, because there's a lot of thing going on. You have to take note of your lighting, you have to take note of your blocking, your angles. The cameraman needs to know, he needs to, pan left, pan right, and then like there's always a lot of retakes. So that 10-minute, could take 4 hours to film.
Actually, the whole bulk of the time was spent on like shifting sets, shifting the equipment so that we can shift the focus of like the camera angles and like capture the whole play from a different side or different angle. Yeah.
But the good thing about it is that your play happens in just one room. There's no like scene set change.
Yeah.
It happens in the same room throughout the 10 minutes.
Correct. Because I dabble in both film and stage, right? So I kind of foresee this happening, whereby we have time constraint and we don't have enough time to complete the whole recording process. So I try on my part as best as I could, like direct it in a way that there's not much change in terms of like blockings by the actors. So the actors actually don't move around much. A lot of like the dynamics during the play it relies heavily on how the actors kind of like project that emotion, project that tension between the two characters that are on stage. I'm just blessed like the actors will manage to carry it out without much difficulty.
Also, not forgetting the wonderful production team, behind this, because they have to film like 10 different plays in one day, right? Or is it in 2 days?
Actually, in 2 days.
In 2 days. Can you guys believe it? And I bet they did, a wonderful job based on the snippets that Adi have showed me.
Yes. And it's my first time working with Rajagopal, and he's a very well-known director. And it was a nice collaboration, because on one end I get to see how I would direct it on stage, where else like when it's being transferred to a film, then it's up to Rajagopal to actually shape and mold it to make it look more like an art film. And during that transfer from stage to film, of course there will be like certain modification and certain changes. You might lose some of the elements, but you might also gain other aspects of it. So like I say, I really learned a lot from this project.
Right, so if you guys want to watch Live in Pathey Nimidam, which is a festival of 10-minute plays in Tamil, which is part of Kalaa Utsavam, which is the Indian Festival of Arts presented by Esplanade. It is running now. It started yesterday on the 20th of November, and it will run all the way to 29 November 2020. So you can get your tickets from Sistik. Okay, so I guess we have come to an end, but we would like to plug in some other things that I thought you guys wanted to know. So Adi has this podcast called Idioms with Kundo. Is that right?
Yes. I mean, it's streaming on Spotify, so if you're interested, you can just search for Idioms with Kundo, and it will pop up on your search results.
So thank you guys for listening to our podcast today, and I guess this is goodbye, and we'll catch up soon.
Yeah.
Bye bye.